Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this tutorial, we are going to learn about Parse User, sign up and log in. So now go ahead and open the Instagram clone project. And then here, I'm going to show you inside the sign up class here where we are getting the data from the server. So let me show you the codes, the query code. Here you can see that we can actually create a condition for this query. So before finding the objects in the background, for example, I can say query all dot, and here I can type in here where. So this is called where condition. So for example, I'm gonna say get the objects, get the Kickboxer objects that have the name John. It's gonna get all of the objects with the name John. Or for example, we can say that get the objects that has the punch power that is greater than 100. So here you can see all of these methods. So for example, let's choose this one, where greater than. So here I want you to know that this method accepts a key and a value. So the key is going to be between the where and the greater than. So for example, when I want to get the all of the objects with the punch power greater than 100, we are saying that query all dot where punch power, this is the key, greater than, and then the value is going to be after the key. So let's pass the value, for example, quotes punch power. So this is the key, comma, and then here I'm gonna pass the value 100, semicolon. So here we are simply saying query all dot where punch power greater than 100. It's gonna get all the objects with the punch power that is greater than 100. So in this case, when I go ahead and run our application, let's see what happens. So now let's click on get all Kickboxers. So now you can see that we are getting all of these objects, John, Jack, Sean, and Michael. This means that all of our objects in the backend, so let's click on Kickboxer. This means all of our Kickboxers have the punch power that is greater than 100. So you can see all of these values are greater than 100. So let's, for example, choose a punch power that is greater than 3000. So let's see what happens. Instead of 100, I'm gonna choose 3000. Now let's click on this button. So now we only get Sean. Why? Because here only Sean has the punch power 7000. Okay, you can also, for example, say another condition. For example, let me show you that we set greater than 3000, not equal to 3000. So if you see here, we have also the punch power of the Jack that is 3000, but the condition says we want greater than 3000. So that's actually a little bit tricky, and I want you to get that point here. So here, for example, again, I can say query all dot equal. So we have where equal to, where not equal to, where greater than or equal to, where less than or equal to. So let's choose this one. And here, let's pass the value punch power, comma, and then the value 3000. So this time, it is going to also show us the Jack object. So let me comment out this line of code, and let's run the app. So I forgot to put a semicolon here. Let me run the app again, because the condition here, it says where greater than or equal to this value. So now if I go ahead and click on this button, it should show us Jack and Sean. So here we have Jack and Sean. So hopefully that makes sense. We can also specify a limit. For example, I can say query all dot set limit. And here I can say, for example, I want to get only one object, one. So now it is going to only show us the object Jack or Sean. Let's see what happens. And if I click on get all Kickboxers, now you can see that it is only showing us Jack. So hopefully that makes sense. Now let's go to our activity underline signup.xml file. And I want to drag another button here because I want to transition to another activity. So here, let's drag this button and put it here below this get all kickboxers, and let's put it at the bottom of the file. So let's create a constraint to the bottom. Select this button. Let's give it an ID, btn next activity, and let's set the text to be switched to another activity. And then let's go into our class signup.java. Let's declare our button here, private button btn transition semicolon. Let's go ahead and initialize it inside the onCreate method. btn transition assignment operator find view by id r.id.btn next activity semicolon. Now let's go ahead and before the ending curly brace of the onCreate method, let's create an onClick listener for this button, btn transition set onClick listener new view.onClick listener. So in order to transition to another activity, first we need to have an activity. So let's go ahead and create one here. So open the Android view and right click on this package and then go to new and then go ahead and let's create a Java class. We have an option here in order to create an activity directly, but here I want to show you step by step how an activity is created. So just create a class Java and let's name it as sign up login activity. So the kind is class and just click on OK. And here it says, do you want to add the following file to Git? I'm going to say yes. And by the way, because we added some where conditions inside our class, we can go ahead and commit our changes to Git. So let's go ahead and click on this Git icon at the top. And here, let me change the commit message to where conditions. And let's go ahead and click on commit and push. So just click on commit and push. Origin master, push. Or I chose force push, so that's not necessary. I just had to click on push. So now here we have the sign up activity class, and then we need to have an XML file here. So let's go ahead and open the res folder. We have the layout folder. Right click on it, new, and then go ahead and click on layout resource file. So the file name is going to be sign up underline. So notice that the name of your XML file must not have a lowercase letter. So sign up underline login underline activity. And let's click on OK. So here make sure that the directory name is layout here. And you can see that the root element by default is constraint layout. If you want to, you can change this layout. So I think constraint layout is fine, and just click on OK. And then it says if you want to get to actually add the following file to Git, I'm going to click on yes. So now that we have this XML file, we need to connect it to our Java class, sign up login activity. Let's go to this class and let's say that this class extends from the app compat activity, okay? And then this class is just going to override the onCreate method. So I chose this version of the onCreate method that is not necessary, and let me delete it here again. Let's just type in here onCreate, and then let's choose this one, onCreate, that has only one parameter, bundle saved instance state. So if you take a look at the signup.java class, you can see that the onCreate method of this class is this version that has only one parameter, saved instance state. And then here, let me tell you a little bit about this saved instance state. It is going to just hold the instance or the state of your application. And sometimes you can just save some data to this object. So I'll talk more about this saved instance state later. For now, we have the onCreate method, and let's go and inside the signup class. And here you can see that we have this one, super.onCreate. So let's see, you can see that this one is called inside the sign up login activity. And we have this method, set content view. So this set content view method is a method that is going to connect our XML file to our activity, to our Java file. So let's go ahead and go inside this sign up login activity. Inside this onCreate method, I'm gonna call this method set content view. And we just need to refer to the layout r.layout dot and then the name of our XML file, sign up login activity. That's it. Okay, now that we have this activity, I'm gonna go ahead and go inside the sign up login activity.xml file. Let's drag a text view here and put it at the center, and let's add the constraints first, and let's set the text to be welcome, and then let's go inside the signup.java file, and here for this onClick listener of this btn transition method, now that we have an activity, we can go ahead and switch to the second activity. So let's write the codes here. Let's say intent, and the variable is going to be intent, new intent. And then we just need to first specify the current activity, and then we need to specify the activity that we want to transition to. So the current activity is sign up activity.this, comma. The second activity is going to be the sign up login activity dot class, semicolon. So now let me create a new line here so that we can see what's going on here. Okay, now that we have this intent object, we can say start activity, and then we need to pass the intent. So in order to go to the second activity, first we need to have an object of type intent. So here I just created a variable of type intent in order to hold this object. And then first we need to specify the current activity, and as the second argument we need to specify the activity that we want to transition to. So in this case it is sign up login activity dot class. And then we need to call the start activity, and this method needs an argument of type intent. So we pass the intent here. So if I go ahead and run our project now, and if I go ahead and click on the btn transition, our application is going to crash. But here I want to show you why. So let's take a look at our emulator and let's see what is going to happen. So here it is, our button at the bottom of the file or layout. Let's click on switch to another activity. The application crashed. So if you go ahead and take a look at the logcat area, here you should see some information about the crash. So it says there is something wrong with this signup.java class in line number 121, where this line of code start activity is executed. So let's see what is wrong here. It says that we have a fatal exception. So let's take a look at this description and let's see what happens. It says unable to find explicit activity class, this class that we created here, sign up login activity. Have you declared this activity in your Android manifest.xml file? So this means that we need to go ahead and open our Android manifest.xml file, and we need to declare our activity here inside the application tag. So here we can see that we have this activity tag. This is for the main activity or the sign up activity. And here also you can see this intent filter tag that is going to specify the launcher activity or the initial activity that is going to run when the user loads the application. So before the ending tag of this application tag, I'm just gonna open a tag and just type in here activity. Next, we need to specify the name of the activity. So it is going to be sign up login activity. And I'm going to put a slash here in order to self-close this activity. And that's enough because we only need to specify the activity here. It is not going to be an initial activity. Okay, the initial activity is going to be sign up. But if you want to specify it as the initial activity, you need to put a greater than sign here so that we have the ending tag. And then inside this activity tag, we could go ahead and cut this intent filter tag and put it here inside this sign up login activity. And in that case, it's gonna go ahead and run the sign up login activity as the first activity or layout. So that's enough. Now we can go ahead and run the app and let's see what happens. So now that we have the second activity, sign up login activity, let's go to this XML file and let me just delete this text view. And here, let's go ahead and let's drag to edit texts here. let's add the constraints first. Let's drag another edit text. The first one is going to be EDT username, and the second one is going to be EDT password. So let's change the text of the first edit text and also the second edit text. So let's say the hint attribute for the first one is going to be enter username and enter password. Now let's drag a button here. Let's add a constraint and let's change the text to be sign up user, and let's also drag two other edit texts for logging in the user. So I'm gonna drag them here, another one, and then let's drag a button. So let's add the constraints here. So here for this EDT username, you can see that I specified the ID to be EDT username login, and this one EDT password login, and the button is btn login. These are the IDs that I specified for these UI components. And here we have this username EDT username sign up, and this one EDT password sign up, and the button is btn sign up. So here the reason that I use these IDs for my UI components is that each UI component must have a unique ID. We cannot use an ID that is used for this UI component for another UI component here or in another XML file. Each ID must be unique. So now let's go into our sign up login activity. And here simply we just need to declare all of our UI components inside our class and initialize it. So I'm gonna pause the video and write the codes here, and then I'm gonna continue showing you how to sign up and log in a Parse user. So here inside the class, I created these variables of type edit text, EDT username sign up, username, EDT username login, EDT password sign up, and finally EDT password login. Next, we have the button btn sign up and btn login. And then inside the onCreate method, after calling the setContentView method, I am initializing my UI components. So EDT username sign up, EDT username login, password sign up, and password login. So now here I need to go ahead and initialize my buttons. So here you can see that I have initialized my buttons btn sign up and btn login. And I have also specified an onClick listener for each of these buttons, btn sign up.setOnClick listener and btn login.setOnClick listener. So first, let's go inside this btn sign up.setOnClick listener, and let's see how we can add a user, how we can sign up a user to Parse. So now we just need to simply go ahead and type in here Parse User. So when I say Parse User, I am referring to this class, Parse User here, that you can see here in the dashboard of your Parse server. So currently we don't have any users. So here I'm gonna create a new object of type Parse User. So let's say the name is app user or Parse User, assignment operator, new Parse User. That's it. We have created a new user, a new Parse User object, and we assigned this object to this variable app user. Now we just need to simply go ahead and say app user dot set. So we have three options. We can set the email, the password, and the username of the user. So currently we are going to only set the username and the password. So let's choose username. So we get the username from the EDT username sign up dot get text dot toString, and then we have the app user dot set password. So we get the password from the EDT password sign up dot get string dot toString. So now let's go into our sign up login activity.xml file, and let's select these edit text for the password, and let's change the input type to password. So I'm gonna uncheck this text person name, and I'm gonna choose password here, text password. Okay, And this one also, let's change the input type to text password. Now let's go back to our activity. So now that we have set the username and the password of our Parse user, we can go ahead and say app user dot sign up in background. So we are going to use this option, this version that uses a callback, and I'm gonna say new, and I'm gonna hold down the shift key. Notice that this method starts with sign up, the letter S. So I'm gonna just put a capitalized S here, and now the autocomplete feature of Android Studio is helping me to choose this callback, sign up callback. And then here, let's say that if the exception is equal to null, if there is no error, then we can go ahead and, for example, show a fancy toast message to the user. So let me go to the sign up activity and let me just copy this fancy toast message and paste it here. So here it says the code fragment which you have pasted uses classes that are not accessible by imports in the new context. Select classes that you want to import to the new file. So it says that this class, this sign up login activity class, must import this file because we are using this library. We need to import it to this file. So just click on OK. And then here we need to specify the message. So let's also first specify the context to be sign up login activity.this. And the message, I'm going to say, for example, let's refer to our app user and get the username. And let's say that that username is signed up successfully. So I'm going to say app user dot get, and then we need to pass the username. Username is going to be the column plus 2 quotes space is signed up successfully. And then that's it. Now we can go ahead and also specify the type, which is going to be success. And we have also an else here. So if anything goes wrong here, we are going to just copy and paste this fancy toast message that is going to show an error. So first let's change the context to sign up login activity class dot this, and the message is e.getMessage and the type is error. So that's fine. Now let's go ahead and let's run our application. And now let's switch to another activity. So here, let's go ahead and enter the username. So I'm gonna enter the username, for example, to be John, and the password 123456. And next, let's go ahead and click on sign up user. So let's see what happens. So at the bottom, it says John is signed up successfully. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at our backend. Let's click on user here in order to refresh it. And now we have one user here added, and the username is John. So here you can see that the password is hidden. We cannot see the password. And we also have a column for the email that we can specify. So this is our object. And now we can go back to Android Studio and let's see how we can log in a user. So a user that is already signed up can log in. So we can go ahead and say Parse User dot log in background. So let's choose this one that accepts a username, a password, and the login callback. So here, let's pass the username. So the username is going to be edt username login.getText.toString, comma. So now we need to pass the password. So edt password login.getText.toString. So now we need to also pass the callback. So new login with capital L login callback. So let me create a new line for you so that you can see what's going on here. Now inside this done method, let's say that if the user that we get is not equal to null and the E exception is equal to null. If that is the case, then we can go ahead and show a success fancy message, a toast message to the user. So let me paste it here. Else, if there is an error or if the user is null, then we can show a fancy toast error message. So let me go ahead and change the message, and let's say that the user that is logged in. So in order to get the user, we can just refer to this user parameter. User.getUsername is logged in successfully. So let's change signed up to logged in. And here we have the error e.getMessage. So now let's go ahead and let's run our app. So in the backend, you can see that we already have an object. Its username is John, and we already know the password 123456. So I'm gonna go ahead and log in with these informations. So let's enter the username. So the username is John. Let's make sure that it is not started with a capital letter because it is case sensitive. For example, if you enter John here with a lowercase letter and you enter the password, it is not going to allow you to log into the app. And now it is going to show us an error message, invalid username or password. The username that you pass here must be the same exactly as the name or the username that we have inside the backend, John with capital J. Now let's go ahead and click on login user. And now it's going to show us a success message. John is logged in successfully. So what happens if the user logs into the app or signs up to the app? We want to transition to another activity. So let's go ahead and create another activity. Open the Android view, open the Java folder, and here right click on this package. And now instead of creating a class and an XML file separately, we're gonna go ahead and go to activity and then click on empty activity. So here you can use lots of other templates. Let's choose empty activity. And now let's say that the activity name is welcome activity. And it's going to generate a layout file for us. The layout name is going to be activity underline welcome. It is not going to be a launcher activity. And the backwards compatibility is checked. This is the package name, the package that we want to put our class. And we have the source language, which is Java. Now let's go ahead and click on finish. So it's going to add these files to Git. I'm going to click on OK. So now let me go ahead and commit these changes to Git because here we actually specified the sign up and login functionalities. So sign up and login. Parse. So let's go ahead and commit and push. So it says that we should wait a little bit here. Let's wait. So now we can go ahead and push our changes to the GitHub. So it says 6 files committed, sign up and login parts. This is the message. And now you can see that at the bottom it says pushing. So now while it is pushing these changes to GitHub, so here it says push successful. Now we can go ahead and let's say that when the user signs up or logs into the application, we want the user to transition to the new activity, welcome activity. Let's go to this activity underline welcome and let's drag a text view at the center. Let's add the constraints, top, left, bottom, and right. Let's change the ID to be txt welcome. And let's go inside our class, welcome activity. And here let me show you that if you go to the Android manifest.xml file, here you can see that the new activity is automatically declared here, .welcome activity. And we don't have to put that here because we directly created the activity. Let's go back to welcome activity inside the onCreate method and notice that also this set content view is called for us. I'm gonna declare this text view. So I'm gonna say text view and let's say txt welcome. Find view by id r.id.txt welcome. Let's specify a text for this text view. So let's say txt welcome.setText and let's say welcome. Now let's go to our sign up login activity class, and here inside the done method of this sign up in background method, so I'm gonna create an intent new intent. So the current activity, it is going to be the sign up login activity dot this comma. Next we need to go to the second activity, which is going to be welcome activity dot class, and then we need to say start activity intent. Next, let's go ahead and also copy and paste this code inside the login, and if anything goes right, if there is no error here, I'm gonna go and just go to create this intent and start this intent here in order to start the welcome activity. Now we can go ahead and run the application. Let's switch to another activity, and now I'm gonna log in. So I'm gonna say John as the username and the password. Next, let's go ahead and click on login user. So if everything goes well, we get the message, and now we are inside the welcome activity. And also let's go ahead and create a new account in order to sign up the user. So this time I'm gonna sign up Jack and the password 123. Let's go ahead and click on sign up user. We have the message and we are transitioned to the welcome activity. So now it's challenge time. Here, instead of showing welcome, I want you to go ahead and get the username of the person that is signed up or logged in and say welcome, for example, John, welcome Jack. Get the username that is of the person that is signed up or logged in. So go ahead and give this challenge a shot, and good luck. So let's go into our welcome activity.class, and here we have the welcome message space plus, in order to solve this challenge, I just need to say parse user dot get current user dot, and then we need to simply say get, and we just need to pass the key username. In this way, we get the username of the current user that is signed up or logged into the application. Let's go ahead and run our app. So let's first log in. John and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's click on login user, and now it says welcome John. Or if I go ahead and sign up a user, so for example, I'm gonna sign up Susan, and I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4 as the password. Let's click on sign up user. Now it says welcome Susan, and it says Susan is successfully signed up. So everything is fine. And I have another challenge for you. Go ahead and add a button to this welcome activity here and allow the user to log out by just clicking on that button. So let's go ahead and solve this challenge. Go ahead and open the activity underline welcome.xml file. Let's drag a button below this text view. Let me add the constraints first. Let's change the text to be log out, and let's set the ID to be btn logout, and let's go inside the welcome activity. Let's declare the button here. So here we don't have to create a variable of type button because we want to only get the onclick functionality. We just want to create an onclick listener. We can simply say find view by ID inside this onCreate method r.id.btn, and the ID is btn logout dot. So here it is our object, right? I can say set onClick listener new view.onClick listener. So you can see that I didn't assign this object, this btn logout, to a variable of type button. I just directly referred to this ID in order to access the button, the UI button, and then I just called the set onClick listener on that UI component. And then here we have the anonymous inner class that is implementing this interface. So now we can simply say parse user dot get current user dot log out. Just type in here log out, semicolon, that's enough. Or we can simply say parse user.logout. We don't have to say parse user.getCurrentUser. By just writing this line of code, you are going to log out of this application. Let's go ahead and run our application and let's see what happens. So let's switch to another activity. Let's log in. So the username is going to be, for example, John, and the password is 123456. Let's click on login user, and here it says welcome John. Now we have this button log out. Let's click on log out. Now we are logged out of the parse, but here we cannot see anything here. We should go ahead and go out of this activity and go back to the previous activity. So in order to do that, after calling the log out, we just need to simply say finish. So the finish method is going to finish the current activity. The current activity is going to be eliminated, and the previous activity is going to be shown to the user. So activities are actually on a stack. Each activity is going to be on the stack, and the current activity is on top of the stack, and the previous activity is below the current activity. So now if I go ahead and run the app, you should see that when I click on log out, the previous activity, which is going to be the sign up login activity, is going to be shown to the user. Click on this button. Let's log in and password. Let's click on log in user, and then let's click on log out. So now we can see this activity. And if I click on back again, now we can see the previous activity, right? And if I click on back again, now the application is going to be destroyed. The onDestroy method is called. The onDestroy method is an Android lifecycle method. You'll learn all about Android lifecycle methods later in this course. And when you go ahead and, for example, want to go ahead and open the application from the background, now it is going to start the application from new. So in the next tutorial, we are going to start creating the Instagram clone app by implementing the sign up and login process. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.